In the silence that follows creation, before even gods awaken, there exists a pulse, soft, endless, eternal. It is not key nor spirit, but something beyond both, the rhythm of existence itself. And within that rhythm, a whisper. A mortal who defied destruction, who transcended mortality again and again, now standing at the edge of divinity. They called him Goku. But in the quiet halls of Zeno's palace, where time itself holds its breath, the grand priest saw something else. Not a Saiyan, not a warrior, but a light that refused to die. What if that light was chosen to ascend? What if Son Goku, child of chaos, bearer of ultra instinct, became something more? A being beyond destruction and mercy, a golden angel. Before we step into this alternate destiny, breathe in and remember, the smallest spark can outshine eternity. Join this legend, traveler of timelines, so our echoes may never fade into silence. The void trembled. Beyond the known universes, past the fabric where mortals breathe and gods dream, two figures stood suspended in a sea of living light. Every atom shivered between them. Every heartbeat across creation paused. Beerus, god of destruction, his aura like violet flame and thunder, glared across the silence. And opposite him, Son Goku, hair of silver fire, eyes calm as dawn, hovered in stillness, every breath resonating with the rhythm of galaxies. This was not battle. This was farewell. Since the tournament of power, Goku had chased something no mortal should touch. Ultra instinct, the perfect stillness, the motion without thought had become his horizon. Yet horizons move, and mortals never stop chasing light. When Beerus challenged him again, it was not for dominance, it was for destiny. "You've gone too far, Saiyan," Beerus murmured, the destruction energy coiling around his palms like living serpents. Goku smiled faintly. "Guess I stopped trying to be." The clash that followed split the seams of space itself. Planets within 1,000,000 miles disintegrated without sound. Shock waves raced faster than light, folding time, and in the stillness between each impact, two souls spoke a language older than words, instinct. Beerus moved like stormlight, his fists striking with the weight of extinction. Goku flowed through them, his body gliding as though guided by the breath of the cosmos. No thought, no fear, only motion, pure and eternal. Each movement shimmered like the birth of a new sun, each counterstrike whispering of balance, not destruction. But balance cannot exist forever between God and mortal. Beerus's roar cracked the heavens. "If you become divine, what purpose do I serve?" And with that, he unleashed everything. The Hakai, pure destruction, violet and endless. Goku met it not with rage, but serenity. His palms lifted, open, welcoming annihilation. The energy swallowed him whole. And then, silence. When the light cleared, Goku stood untouched. His body glowed faintly, his aura humming at a frequency even Whis could not name. He had not resisted Beerus, he had accepted him, and in acceptance, surpassed him. Beerus fell to one knee, trembling. "You've done it, haven't you?" Whis appeared beside them, his eyes glinting like the surface of still water. "No, Lord Beerus, he has only begun." Zeno watched from beyond dimensions, childlike eyes glimmering with curiosity. "He shines funny," the twin voices giggled. The Grand Priest bowed his head. "He is ready, Your Majesty." and thus the whisper of fate turned to decree. Goku, the mortal who defied gods, would ascend beyond Saiyan blood, beyond destruction and instinct, into the realm of angels. But to gain such stillness, he would have to surrender all things human. The stars dimmed as the portals opened, rings of divine symmetry, swirling in gold and white. Whis placed a hand on Goku's shoulder. From this moment, you will no longer walk the path of battle. You will walk the silence between strikes. You will train under the Zenos' gaze. Goku looked back once, to Earth, to Chi-Chi, to his sons. The blue marbles spun quietly in the distance, small and fragile. For a moment, doubt flickered in his heart. Then, he smiled. Guess I'll see you when I've learned how to return. He stepped into the light. The void folded, and Goku vanished, leaving behind only a faint trail of golden white ki that hummed like a promise to every soul that ever sought to rise beyond itself. In the emptiness where he once stood, Barris whispered, almost reverently, "Goodbye, Saiyan." The words echoed through the void, fading into a silence that was not death, but awakening. The path to divinity had begun. When Goku's body dissolved into the gateway of Zeno's realm, the laws of space folded like fragile silk. Time lost its meaning. Sound became thought. Thought became light. He was no longer moving. He was being moved. Every breath tore through veils of existence, dragging him beyond mortal awareness. He felt his memories of laughter, of hunger, of battle stretch thin, like echoes inside a vast cathedral. He reached for them instinctively, but even instincts faltered here.
Whis' voice drifted through the emptiness. This is not a place of travel, Goku. It is the interval between creation and silence. You must surrender motion to reach it. I've never been good at sitting still, Goku said with a half-smile, though even his voice seemed to fade before it reached his ears. And then, nothing. A sudden stillness gripped him. He opened his eyes to find himself standing on a sea of glass, reflecting endless stars. Above him, galaxies spiraled like breath, yet there was no sky, no floor, only reflection, as if he stood upon his own soul. At the center of that infinity, the Grand Priest waited. "Welcome, Son Goku," he said, his voice neither loud nor soft, but absolute. "This is the silent expanse, the prelude to the angelic plane. From this point forward, you will not be taught how to fight, but how to cease needing to." Goku bowed slightly. "If it helps me get stronger, I'll do whatever it takes." The Grand Priest's gaze deepened, ageless, unreadable. Strength is not found in ascension. It is lost there. And with that, the ground shattered beneath them, though there had been no ground to shatter. Light rushed upward, enveloping Goku in waves of divine pressure. He fell to his knees as ki surged violently through his veins, turning his muscles to fire. "You cling to mortal rhythm," the priest's voice resounded through the storm. "Your instincts, your emotion, your endless hunger to grow, they are beautiful, but they are noise. To reach the state of the angels, you must learn the music behind the silence." Goku gasped, feeling his ultra instinct slipping, not because he lacked focus, but because focus itself had no meaning here. His body didn't respond. His ki didn't obey him. He was unlearning the language of power. He looked up, trembling, but there was no anger in his eyes, only curiosity and the same childish wonder that once drove him to fight gods. "So this is what comes after instinct?" he whispered. The Grand Priest raised a single hand. Light condensed into spheres around them, fragments of broken universes frozen in time. Each of these is a universe that fell to imbalance.
Too much desire, too much destruction. Every god, every mortal who sought perfection fell. Do you still wish to follow that path? Goku's fists tightened. If I stop now, I'll never understand why I started. For the first time, the Grand Priest smiled. It was small, but it changed everything. Then rise, Son Goku, and learn what the gods have forgotten. The light fractured. Goku rose, his silhouette bending and reforming as if the universe itself were molding his being. The glassy sea beneath him began to pulse with rhythm, echoing the beat of his heart. And slowly, his form shimmered, no longer silver, no longer Saiyan. Something within him had begun to remember the divine.
Zeno's two small figures appeared far above, watching with the awe of children at a firework too bright to touch. "He's glowing funny again," one giggled. "Maybe he'll break something," said the other, smiling. The Grand Priest closed his eyes. No, this time he will break himself, and from those pieces something greater will emerge. The starlit sea rippled outward. Goku inhaled. For the first time in eternity, he didn't feel the urge to fight, only to understand. And thus began the long silence, the stillness from which the golden angel would one day be born. Time did not exist in Zeno's realm. There was only light and the absence of it, only awareness folding upon itself like waves of breath. Here, Goku lived without sunrise, without sleep, without the heartbeat of worlds to mark his days. The silence was alive. It pressed against his skin, crawled into his lungs, filled every thought until even thinking became unbearable. He wanted to move, to punch, to shout, to feel the vibration of his own energy. But every motion shattered the quiet like breaking glass. And when he did, the Grand Priest would appear, not with anger, but with sorrow. "You still seek to prove your existence," he said, voice echoing in ripples that bent the stars. But the divine needs no proof. It simply is. Each lesson was not a day, but a century of stillness compressed into a single breath. Whis once visited, never speaking, only watching, his staff flickering faintly like a candle in endless wind. Even his presence was fragile here, as though the realm rejected anything less than perfect serenity. In time, Goku learned that silence had weight. It pressed harder than gravity. It could crush him faster than any blow Beerus had ever thrown. When his spirit faltered, memories returned to him. Chi-Chi's laughter, Gohan's innocence, Vegeta's unyielding pride. But here, even memory carried danger. Each emotion, each attachment became a disturbance in the sacred stillness. The Grand Priest warned him, "To rise, you must release. Emotion births identity. Identity births resistance. Resistance is what keeps mortals from eternity." But could a man like Goku ever exist without emotion, without joy, without battle, without that simple love of life that had driven him across galaxies? He tried. For what felt like eons, he tried. He meditated at the edge of nothingness, his silver aura flickering weaker with each moment. At times he thought he had done it, that he had silenced himself completely. But then a single thought, the sound of Gotsun's laughter, the scent of his wife's cooking, the thrill of a worthy rival would break through, and the entire realm would ripple, pushing him back into pain. Again, the Grand Priest would say, and Goku would try again. Sometimes he screamed, sometimes he wept, not from sadness, but from absence, from the unbearable emptiness that mirrored eternity. The gods had always feared him because he was different, because he carried the heart of a mortal that refused to die, even when divinity demanded silence. Now, that heart was his greatest enemy. But in that endless nothing, something began to change. The silence stopped feeling hostile. It began to hum, softly, faintly, like a song he had never noticed before. Each time he released his thoughts, the hum grew clearer. Each time he surrendered, the world around him brightened, until one moment, a breath without beginning or end, when he understood. The silence wasn't his enemy,
It was listening. He smiled faintly. So that's it, huh? You weren't trying to crush me, you were trying to teach me how to hear. For the first time, the silence pulsed with warmth, a golden radiance spreading through the void. The Grand Priest appeared again, but this time he did not speak. He only bowed his head. Goku's silver aura flickered once and began to shift. The glow around his body turned softer, warmer, white blending into gold. His heartbeat slowed until it matched the rhythm of the universe itself. He wasn't ascending, he was aligning. And in that stillness, he heard a voice, not external, but deep within the vibration of his being. It was the voice of his own ki speaking for the first time in eternity. You've always fought to grow stronger. Now, grow to become still. Goku exhaled, a breath that stretched across galaxies. The silence hummed back like a friend answering a long-forgotten call. The first seed of the golden ki had been born. It was faint at first, a hum beneath reality, a vibration so subtle that even the Grand Priest paused to listen. Goku sat cross-legged upon the shimmering expanse, eyes closed, breath deep, his body surrounded by threads of golden light that wove in and out of existence. They were not ki as mortals knew it. They were the raw pulse of creation, the same essence that birthed the angels themselves. For the first time since his arrival, the Grand Priest spoke softly. You are beginning to hear the language of the void. Goku opened his eyes. They were calm, not glowing, not fierce, just clear. He said, I'm not trying anymore. It's like the fighting part of me just stopped needing to win. The Grand Priest nodded. You are learning what no god has understood since the dawn, that divinity does not conquer chaos. It listens to it. He motioned with his hand, and the world around them shifted. The sea of stars warped into a single vast sphere of light. Within it, a reflection of Goku himself, silver-haired and still. This, said the priest, is your final obstacle, not an enemy, but the shadow of your will, the part of you that clings to the thrill of combat, to pride, to defiance. To surpass yourself, you must face the silence within your own soul. The reflection's eyes opened, and it smiled. In an instant, the void cracked apart. Goku's duplicate lunged forward, wrapped in the cold blaze of ultra instinct. Their fists collided, not with sound, but with the pure distortion of reality. Every blow echoed like a heartbeat of the multiverse. Each movement was perfect, neither wasted nor deliberate. A battle of beings who no longer needed to fight, yet fought anyway to remember they existed. Goku's golden threads flared brighter with every impact, struggling against the silver storm of his reflection. This isn't about power, he realized, gritting his teeth. It's about letting go. He slowed, then stopped. His reflection froze mid-strike, eyes meeting eyes, breath against breath, and in that stillness, the mirror began to dissolve. The silver light melted into his golden aura, merging into one. The Grand Priest watched silently as the fusion completed. Goku's body became radiant, not burning, not blinding, but alive. His ki was both warm and infinite, his essence expanding until even the boundaries of Zeno's realm began to tremble. Whis appeared beside his father, smiling softly. He's learned to make peace with the part of him that needed to fight. That's something even angels struggled to do. The Grand Priest's gaze lingered. And yet that peace is not serenity. It is acceptance. It is the first breath of balance. As the last echo of silver faded, Goku stood alone, golden aura flickering like a sunrise after endless night. He looked at his hands, steady, weightless, luminous, and for the first time in his life, he felt no desire to test them, only to be. He bowed deeply. Thank you. The Grand Priest tilted his head. Do not thank me. The silence was your teacher. You simply learned how to listen. Goku smiled faintly. Then I guess it's time for the next lesson.
The Grand Priest's eyes glowed faintly blue. Indeed, you are ready to learn the origin of Ki, the breath that binds angels, mortals, and gods alike. Light flared beneath them, forming an infinite temple of energy and time. Stars ignited at its edges, orbiting the structure like prayer beads. The walls shimmered with every color of the multiverse, and at its heart, a single sphere pulsed, golden and endless. This, the Grand Priest whispered, is the cradle of divine Ki, the birthplace of creation. Few have seen it, none have touched it. To approach it, your spirit must remain in perfect harmony, for even a single mortal thought can erase you from existence. Goku's eyes gleamed with quiet awe. That I'll just stay still. The Grand Priest smiled. Then begin. And as Goku stepped toward the glowing sphere, the realm itself began to tremble, not from fear, but from recognition. A mortal had reached the edge of angelhood. The light surrounded him, whispering through his veins, rewriting his being. His heartbeat slowed, his breath deepened, and the sound of silence became music once more.
The transformation was beginning. The birth of the golden Ki had truly begun. The realm shivered as he approached. The cradle of divine Ki pulsed like a heartbeat in the void, golden waves rippling outward through the infinite temple. It was not power, it was origin. The raw rhythm of life itself, untouched since the dawn when Zeno's first thought became creation. Goku stood at its edge, feeling the hum inside his bones. It wasn't loud, yet every vibration felt like truth itself pressing against his soul. The Grand Priest's voice echoed from somewhere beyond sound. Do not reach for it. Let it reach for you. He closed his eyes, and for the first time, he didn't try. He simply was. The sphere brightened. Threads of golden radiance drifted toward him, not burning, but weightless, warm. They entered his body like breath, like memory. His veins glowed, his heartbeat aligned with the pulse of the universe. Every part of him, every scar, every victory, every failure unfolded before him like fragments of an ancient mural. He saw himself as a child beneath Grandpa Gohan's sky. He saw his battles with Vegeta, with Frieza, with gods, with time. Every punch he'd ever thrown had been a question. Who am I? What am I meant to become? Now the answer came, not as words, but as radiance. You are motion given purpose. You are chaos given heart. The golden light sank deeper. His hair flickered between silver and gold, shifting in a rhythm beyond transformation. His aura pulsed outward in waves that gently reshaped the void, turning emptiness into form, silence into harmony. Wish watched quietly beside the Grand Priest, eyes wide with something close to reverence. His Ki, it's rewriting the field, he murmured. The priest nodded. He is no longer drawing energy from the universe is drawing from him. It was a sight no god had ever witnessed, a mortal not rising above divinity, but becoming its mirror. Goku's Ki did not dominate the void, it joined it. His Ki expanded until it touched every corner of existence, not as power, but as presence. Then came the test. The golden sphere surged, no longer gentle. It roared like a star being born, waves of creation crashing against Goku's being. His aura trembled, his body screamed, his very essence threatened to unravel. The Grand Priest watched, unmoving. Creation will always test those who seek to hold it. To be the vine is to withstand not battle, but becoming. The golden flood consumed him. Every fiber of Goku's body dissolved into pure light. His consciousness splintered, not dying, but scattering across the planes of existence. He saw flashes of every timeline, every world he touched, Namek burning, Earth laughing, the cries of mortals and gods all whispering the same truth. Grow. The word repeated, a drumbeat of destiny. Grow, grow, grow. And he did. From within the storm he reached, not outward, but inward, toward the heart that refused to die, the mortal spark that had carried him through destruction and time. He found it there, small, fragile, still beating. He smiled through the light. If I'm going to be something new,
then I'll take them with me. Every friend, every rival, every fight. That's who I am. The golden storm slowed. The light began to take form again. Body, breath, heartbeat. When the glow faded, Goku stood reborn. His hair shimmered like liquid gold, each strand reflecting the hue of dawn. His eyes glowed soft white, haloed with faint blue. His aura wasn't violent. It sang, low and harmonic, like the sound of the cosmos breathing. Whis took a step forward, awe in his usually serene voice. Father, his ki isn't divine or mortal. It's both, balanced. The Grand Priest bowed his head. He has achieved harmony, the golden key, the unity of creation and imperfection. This is what even angels could never reach. Goku opened his hand slowly. Golden energy danced between his fingers, gentle, living light. He could feel everything, every life across every world, every heartbeat pulsing in time with his own. Yet instead of overwhelming him, it brought peace. He understood now. Strength was never about domination, it was about connection. He smiled faintly. So, this is what it means to stop fighting. Whis's eyes shimmered. And in stopping, you've surpassed everything that ever fought. But the peace did not last. From the edges of the realm, ripples spread, distortions born of fear. The divine balance trembled. Angels across the universes felt the shift, and gods began to whisper. A mortal had touched the heart of creation, a sin older than time. The Grand Priest's voice darkened, though his eyes remained calm. They will not understand, not yet. Goku's gaze lifted toward the trembling horizon. Then I'll help them understand. The priest nodded. Then your next lesson is not silence, son Goku. It is defiance, without destruction. And as the temple dimmed around them, the first shadows of rebellion began to stir in the heavens. The golden key had been born, and with it, the universe would never be the same. The tremor began as a whisper, a ripple across the divine plane, faint yet unmistakable, like a heartbeat in a graveyard. The angels paused their endless duties, their stabs flickered with unease. In the far reaches of creation, gods of destruction stirred from meditation, feeling their Hakai energy twist under a weight they could not name. It was not rebellion they sensed, it was change. Deep within Zeno's palace, the air grew heavy with golden light. The Grand Priest stood at the edge of the radiant temple, his gaze fixed on Goku, now kneeling, surrounded by an aura that pulsed like the dawn. Every pulse rewrote the very frequency of existence. Even the threads of divine order began to sway to his rhythm.
Whis whispered, "The balance won't hold." The priest's tone remained calm. "Balance never holds, my son. It breathes. It must inhale and exhale. Creation and destruction. He is merely the next breath." But the cosmos was not ready to breathe him in. Beyond the palace, across universes, Beerus sat upright on a barren world. The air around him wavered, his Hakai aura faltering like a dying flame. "That feeling," he muttered. "It's him, isn't it?" Whis's image flickered before him, voice echoing from realms apart. "Yes. The mortal you feared to lose is now the being you cannot surpass." Beerus clenched his fists, tail swishing with unease. "Then tell me, what happens to a god of destruction when a mortal reaches peace?" Whis didn't answer. Meanwhile, in the golden chamber, Goku opened his eyes. He saw everything. The cosmos unfolded before him, not as separate realms, but as one continuous being. Stars pulsed like veins. Time flowed like breath. Every battle, every death, every birth, all pieces of the same divine heartbeat. He understood now what ultra instinct had truly been, a doorway. The golden key was what lay beyond it, not instinct, but harmony, not reaction, but resonance. He could hear the cries of mortals praying to gods, and gods praying to silence. It all sang together, but the song began to distort. He felt it, the tension in the fabric, the fear of the divine. The more his light spread, the more the gods resisted. The very order that sustained them began to recoil. The angels, bound by duty to Zeno's will, trembled between admiration and terror. The grand priest stepped forward, robes shimmering in twilight hues. "Do you feel it?" he asked softly. Goku nodded. "They're afraid. My key's touching everything, and they don't want it to. Because your harmony threatens their hierarchy. They exist to maintain separation between mortal and God, chaos and law. You blur those lines. You make them remember what they once were, fragments of the same creation." Goku stood slowly, his golden aura rippling like a sunrise behind him. "Then maybe they need to remember."
"Be careful," Whis warned, stepping closer. "Peace can shatter worlds faster than war." Goku smiled faintly, eyes calm. "Then I'll learn how not to break them." At that moment, the realm convulsed. The sky above the golden temple split, and from the rift descended a host of radiant figures, the other angels, their halos burning with blue flame. Their expressions were unreadable, their presence absolute. At their head was Vados, her staff pulsing with contained fury. "Father," she said, her tone respectful but cold. "The balance trembles. The Grand Zeno commands explanation." The Grand Priest's gaze remained steady. "There is no disturbance, only evolution." Vados's eyes flickered toward Goku. "A mortal radiating the essence of Genesis is not evolution. It is violation. You have broken the prime law." Goku stepped forward, voice calm but firm. "If your laws can't hold something like this, maybe they're not meant to." For a heartbeat, no one moved. The light of Goku's aura cast long shadows against their perfect stillness. His presence was not defiance, it was compassion so vast it unsettled them. Every angel felt it, a warmth they'd forgotten, a love not born of obedience but of existence itself, and that frightened them more than power ever could. The Grand Priest raised his staff slowly, and the tension broke like a string. "Enough. Zeno will decide." But even as he spoke, the air around them cracked with radiant blue energy, the omnipotent signatures of the twin Zenos awakening from their slumber. Their laughter echoed, distant yet omniscient. "He's shiny," said one. "He's dangerous," said the other. "Maybe we should play with him." The Grand Priest lowered his gaze. "It seems the trial has begun." Goku's expression didn't change. The gold around him deepened into a quiet blaze, steady, fearless. He looked upward toward the approaching light and whispered, "If this is what it takes to show them peace, then I'll face even the king of everything." And the heavens opened. The trial of the golden angel had begun. The throne of infinity trembled. Zeno's laughter echoed like the tinkling of broken glass, each note rippling through universes. It was the sound of innocence bound to absolute power, a paradox the cosmos had learned to obey. But today, that sound wavered.
Because for the first time since creation, Zeno was uncertain. He stared down at the being before him, not mortal, not God, but something that blurred both. Goku stood upon the radiant platform, his aura soft yet endless, the golden key shimmering like the first light after creation. His presence did not bow to Zeno's energy, it harmonized with it. "Pretty," one Zeno said. "Dangerous," said the other. The air cracked with their voices, and every angel in existence lowered their gaze. The Grand Priest stepped forward. Your Majesties, Son Goku has touched the cradle of Ki. He has not defied your law, he has fulfilled it. Vados's voice sliced through the stillness. By allowing a mortal to enter the heart of creation, he has rewritten its rhythm. The divine order cannot contain him. Already realms tremble. And indeed, they did. Across the multiverse, stars flickered out and reignited as if struggling to breathe. The laws that separated mortal from God bent like light through heat. Destruction energy wavered. The Kaioshin felt their power merging with something older, deeper, the same golden resonance that now radiated from Goku's being. For the first time, the hierarchy that held creation together began to blur. Zeno tilted his head, childlike eyes unblinking. If everything becomes the same, what happens to our game? Goku raised his gaze slowly. His expression was calm, not defiant, not fearful. Maybe there doesn't have to be a game anymore. Whispers tore through the hall like wind. Angels shuddered. Gods bowed deeper. Even the Grand Priest's fingers tightened around his staff. Zeno's small smile vanished. No game means no fun. The twin beings rose from their thrones, light spilling from their forms like liquid infinity. The Grand Priest lowered his head. Your Majesties. But Zeno's power flared, silencing even him. The golden realm dissolved into a horizon of pure white, timeless and endless. All that remained were Goku, the Grand Priest, and the will of creation itself bearing down upon them. Zeno's voice, now one and many, filled the void. If he breaks balance, we erase him. We erase everything. Goku stood motionless, light flowing from him in quiet waves. He didn't resist. The divine force crashed against him like a tidal wave of eternity, raw, absolute. Yet it couldn't consume him. His aura did not fight back. It absorbed the attack, harmonized with it, turned annihilation into melody.
Zeno's will began to bend, refracting around him like sunlight through glass. The void sang. The song was neither victory nor defiance. It was forgiveness. The Grand Priest whispered, almost to himself, he's not countering. He's forgiving creation itself. Zeno's eyes widened. Forgiving? Us? The light around Goku deepened, becoming almost unbearable to look upon. His voice, calm and resonant, broke the silence. I've fought everything. Mortals, gods, time itself. I always thought the point was to win, but every fight only taught me one thing. Nothing that grows should be destroyed for growing too far. The twin Zenos trembled, flickering like uncertain flames. If everything grows, we disappear. Then disappear with peace, Goku said softly, not fear. The universe began to quake. Energy cascaded in all directions, universes colliding, dimensions folding into one another like waves returning to the sea. The angels scattered, each struggling to contain the collapse. Whis' voice rang through the chaos. Father, if this continues, the entire hierarchy will collapse. The Grand Priest closed his eyes. Perhaps it must. Goku stepped forward through the storm, his golden aura radiating calm. With each step, the violent distortion slowed, not stopped, but soothed, like a storm remembering it was once the sky. He raised his hand, touching the edge of Zeno's radiance. The infinite energy surged, ready to erase him, but when they met, there was no explosion, only light. And in that light, something ancient stirred, a memory older than time. Zeno blinked, his childish eyes widening. I remember. Before the thrones, before everything. The Grand Priest bowed deeply. You remember the stillness, my king, the silence before creation. He has brought it back to you. Zeno's power faded, his form flickering smaller, dimmer, not dying, but resting. His voice came soft, uncertain. Is this what peace feels like? Goku smiled gently. Yeah. It's not losing, it's letting go. And in that moment, the realm fell quiet. The storm ceased. The white horizon dimmed out into a soft golden glow. The angels knelt. The grand priest lowered his staff. And for the first time since the dawn of creation, Zeno, the king of everything, wept. The tears became stars. From them, new universes began to bloom. The divine order had not ended, it had transformed. And at the center of that rebirth stood the mortal who had taught the gods how to be still.
But balance is fragile. For every dawn, a shadow lingers, and beyond the veil of light, something stirred, watching. Not divine, not mortal, but jealous. The fallen remnants of those erased by Zeno's will, spirits of lost gods, bitter and forgotten, began to rise. The cosmos would not remain at peace for long. The stars that fell from Zeno's tears shimmered across the void like seeds of new life. Each one bloomed into a fresh universe, unbound by the rigid laws that once chained creation. The grand priest watched in silence, sensing both awe and dread in his immortal heart. Because every rebirth carries the echo of what was, and light cannot shine without the memory of its shadow. The golden realm pulsed with renewal, yet deep beneath its brilliance, a fissure opened, a thin crack between what was and what should have been. From it leaked whispers, voices stripped from existence long ago, gods who had defied Zeno's will, beings erased from time, now awakened by the harmony of the golden key. They did not return as flesh or form, they returned as hunger. Goku felt it first, a chill running through the fabric of the light he had just calmed. His aura trembled as if the song of creation had hit a note out of tune. He turned to the grand priest. "Something's wrong." The priest nodded slowly. "What was erased now remembers itself. The void you healed has become a doorway." The light around them warped, bending inward like a wound reopening. Shadows emerged, shapeless yet alive, carrying echoes of lost gods, the smell of old fire, the hum of ancient hatred. They surrounded the temple, whispering in tones that cracked the air. "You ended our silence," one hissed. "You gave us voice again," said another. "And now, Golden One, you will listen." The grand priest raised his staff, summoning a barrier of pure light, but the shadows slipped through like smoke. Their presence wasn't physical. It was emotional, spiritual. Each shadow touched what still lingered in every divine heart: guilt. Whis staggered, clutching his chest as memories of countless erased worlds flooded his mind. "Father, their sorrow, it's alive." The priest's face hardened. "They are not sorrow, my son. They are consequence." Goku stepped forward, golden key flaring, not as a weapon, but as warmth. His light reached toward the shadows, trying to calm them, but their pain only deepened. They screamed, not in rage, but in grief, the sound of countless beings who had once looked up at Zeno's light and found oblivion instead. One shadow surged toward him, its voice broken and raw. "You taught gods to feel again, feel our absence." It struck him. The impact sent waves across the golden realm. Goku staggered, his aura flickering, but he didn't fight back. He reached out instead, hands open, eyes soft. "I know that pain. I've lost too. I've fought for worlds that vanished." For a heartbeat, the shadow faltered, then shrieked as the light poured through it, dissolving rage into memory. The others recoiled, unsure. He continued, voice steady. "You don't need vengeance. You need to be remembered." The shadows wavered, torn between hate and longing. Goku spread his arms, golden aura expanding until it touched every flicker of darkness. "If the gods forgot you, I won't." The grand priest watched as Goku's light spread, not purging, but embracing. Every lost echo, every erased god merged into the radiance, finding rest at last.
The cosmos pulsed brighter, balance returned, fragile yet whole. But the effort tore at him, his aura dimmed, his breath slowed. For a moment Goku's golden glow faltered, revealing the faint outline of his mortal self beneath. He knelt, trembling. The Grand Priest approached, eyes filled with quiet pride. "You carry creation's burden now. To forgive is to hold every sorrow in your heart." Goku smiled weakly. "Guess I never really stopped being human." The priest placed a hand on his shoulder. "And that is precisely why you succeeded." In the silence that followed, the last shadow dissolved. The realm grew calm once more. But the light had changed. It was no longer purely golden. It carried streaks of silver, faint but clear, a reminder of the mortal spark that refused to die even in divinity. Whis looked upon him with wonder. "Your key, it's evolving again." The Grand Priest nodded slowly. "Because it no longer belongs to him alone. Every being he has touched now breathes through him. He has become the memory of the multiverse." From the horizon, Zeno's small voice returned, quiet, trembling with something like awe. "Goku, the others are gone. You fixed them?" He smiled softly. "Not fixed, just forgiven." Zeno tilted his head. "What will you do now?" Goku looked toward the endless expanse, where new universes shimmered like dawn after a long night. "Maybe I'll watch over them for a while. Not as a god, just as someone who remembers what it's like to fall and stand again." The Grand Priest bowed his head, the faintest trace of a smile on his lips. "Then you will do what even we could not, guide without ruling." And as Goku stepped toward the star-lit horizon, his body began to dissolve into pure light, not fading, but ascending into every world at once. His golden aura became a constellation, his voice a whisper in the heart of creation.
"Every time you rise after loss," he said, his tone now echoing through all space, "remember, the divine is not above you, it's within you." The light spread until there was no distinction between heaven and earth, God and mortal, silence and song. The fall of heaven was not destruction, it was awakening. The newborn universes floated like lanterns over an infinite sea. Their light was gentle, not the blaze of conquest, but the glow of renewal. Each world pulsed in time with a rhythm older than stars, and in that rhythm the cosmos whispered a name: Goku. He no longer stood in one form or place. He was motion inside stillness, the echo that connected every soul that ever dared to rise. Mortals who looked to the sky in prayer felt warmth brush their hearts. Gods in quiet temples paused, sensing something vast yet kind watching over them. He had not ascended, he had become the space between ascension and fall. In the heart of the golden realm, the Grand Priest knelt upon the crystal floor, eyes closed. For the first time, his staff was still. Whis appeared beside him, his usual calm softened into awe. "Father, is he gone?" The priest shook his head slowly. "Gone? No, he has simply expanded beyond being seen. The child of earth has become the breath between us all." He lifted his gaze toward the endless sky. "He is what we were meant to remember, that divinity was never purity, but compassion clothed in imperfection." Whis smiled faintly. "Then our roles are fulfilled," the priest said. "Not ended, renewed." Across the universes, fragments of gold began to drift through every realm, falling like quiet snow. Each flake of light carried a memory, a lesson, a whisper. On Earth, Gohan paused mid-training as one spark settled on his hand. In that instant, he felt his father's laughter again, bright and unbound. Vegeta, meditating beneath the blue sky of Capsule Corp's garden, opened his eyes as the air shimmered. For a heartbeat, pride and peace became the same emotion.
Even Beerus, half asleep on his floating rock, stirred as a warm glow touched his fur. "Huh, you never did know when to stop showing off," he muttered, but his voice was softer than ever before. Beyond them all, in the spaces where gods feared to look, Goku's consciousness drifted through the weave of reality. He no longer thought in words. His mind was a river of sensation, laughter, sorrow, battle, silence, all flowing together without resistance. He remembered the first time he looked at the stars as a boy, wondering how far they went. Now he knew they went only as far as one's will to keep seeking. He passed through galaxies like wind through wheat. Wherever he moved, dormant life stirred, sparks igniting in voids that had never known light. His touch didn't command creation, it invited it. And in that endless motion, a realization bloomed. Divinity was not the end of struggle, but the gentle continuation, the courage to keep evolving without fear of imperfection.
The Grand Priest's voice reached him across dimensions, soft as prayer. Son Goku, your journey has rewritten the song of existence. What will you call yourself now? For a moment, silence stretched through the universes. Then his voice returned, distant yet intimate, carried on every beam of light. I don't need a name. If mortals look for strength, let them find it inside themselves. If gods seek peace, let them remember they were once dreamers too. The priest bowed his head. Then it is done. The golden angel walks without footsteps. And so it was that heaven and earth found a new rhythm, not ruled, not divided, simply alive. The angels resumed their watch with humbler hearts, the gods guarded their worlds with gentler hands, and mortals, unaware of the legend woven through their breath, continued to strive, to fail, to rise again. Each act of kindness sent a shimmer through the cosmos, each sacrifice a note in the grand harmony. Through them all a quiet radiance lingered, the lingering pulse of the Saiyan who taught eternity to feel. The golden angel did not shine above creation. He was creation remembering itself. The universes turned slowly, breathing as one. Every world sang in quiet rhythms, oceans whispering, stars pulsing, mortals dreaming, and somewhere beneath it all, that golden hum persisted. The golden key had become the language of reality itself, the pulse by which creation spoke to its own heart. In that vastness, the essence once known as Son Goku drifted through the continuum like wind through tall grass. He no longer sought purpose. Purpose unfolded wherever he passed. A child learning to stand felt a flicker of courage. A weary soldier paused before striking the final blow and chose mercy instead. A lonely god found stillness in prayer. All of them touched the same invisible flame. None knew its name, yet all carried its warmth. In a quiet corner of the multiverse, far from temples and thrones, a small blue planet spun peacefully beneath the familiar sun. Earth, his first teacher. Here his echo lingered most vividly. Goten stood beside Pan on a mountaintop, both gazing at the horizon. The air shimmered faintly with gold, like sunlight filtered through memory. Uncle Vegeta says he's gone for good, Pan murmured. Goten smiled softly. Now, he's everywhere now. Listen close, you can still hear him.
They closed their eyes. The wind carried the faintest laugh, not loud, not distant, just enough to remind them that peace is never truly quiet. And far above, Beyond clouds and cosmos, that laughter rippled into eternity, gentle, endless, whole. The grand priest stood once more at the edge of the golden realm, Whis behind him, serene as dawn. For the first time in creation, the priest set down his staff. "Perhaps we have been keepers too long," he said. "Maybe divinity is meant to flow, not rule." Whis nodded. "Then let us flow, for even gods must learn from mortals eventually." The priest's gaze lingered on the shimmering horizon, where the golden key still glowed like sunlight across the sea of time. "He was the bridge," he murmured, "the proof that imperfection is the seed of evolution." And so, ages passed, though time itself no longer mattered. Civilizations rose and fell, galaxies birthed and burned. Yet through it all, that golden pulse endured. It was not worshipped, for it did not demand worship. It was lived, through kindness, through courage, through the simple will to keep growing. The gods would later whisper of him as the silent dawn, the one who turned even destruction into rebirth. Mortals would dream of a figure clothed in light, smiling softly, watching over them not from above, but from within. And though no temple bore his image, every living thing carried a spark of his soul. Eons later, when even Zeno's memory had faded into the myth of myths, the cosmos reached a stillness, not of ending, but of rest. And in that infinite calm, a voice, soft as wind, deep as eternity, spoke once more. Not every battle needs victory. Some only need understanding. The stars brightened, answering like pupils to a teacher unseen. The universes pulsed in rhythm, echoing the heartbeat of their forgotten guardian. In that moment, creation itself seemed to bow, not in worship, but in gratitude. The grand priest's words from long ago lingered like a prophecy fulfilled. He will not rule the heavens. He will remind them how to dream. And somewhere, beyond form and time, Goku smiled, not as a god, not as a mortal, but as a spark in every living soul that ever dared to rise beyond itself. The light faded gently, leaving behind a silence so deep it could only be peace. The stars burned quietly, as if remembering his will.